Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Defining Moments. I appreciate you being here once again. I let you in a little bit earlier so you can get all of your streaming apparatuses. You get it going. Wake it up. Give it a shot of steroids. I try to get you in just to let you know how much I appreciate you. I really do. Some of you come in early. Some of you come back and you watch it in the archive. Some of you come and watch the podcast, and then you text me or you see me in the marketplace to let me know how much you appreciate the work that we do. It is not about shining the light on me. Zero. It's about shining the light on me. It's about shining the light on King Jesus, and I'm unapologetic for saying that, and whom I follow, who I am and who I am, whose I am and who I am. But also, this program is about encouraging you to embrace the organic creation that God created you, and to serve him with the spirit of excellence. You stay tuned because you're really going to enjoy my guest today, Dwight Owens. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome again to another edition of Defining Moments. I'm your host, Larry Nix, and I appreciate you joining me today. Wherever you are, north, south, east, west, wherever you are, even in the UK, I appreciate you joining me because we have several streamers that stream us in the UK. I appreciate you joining us. My prayer is that you are well. That you are well. You say, well, you don't even know who I am. Some of you text me and you respond to the email. And some of the names I don't know, but you know what? If you know the Lord and I know the Lord, then we have kindred spirit. And so know that I pray for the well of you. Some of you are in storms. Some of you have come out of the storm. Some of you are about to go in a storm. But I just want to encourage you, wherever you are, just if you can't hang on without being overly religious and spiritual and godly, but that's all I know. I don't have any advice. When people say, Larry, what do you think about this? I said, well, it's not me to tell you what I think because I've been purchased with a price. So I've got to tell you what my Father says, and he says this. And so as a result, I'm going to give you the best advice that has been given to me by the one who saved my soul, Jesus the Christ. Jesus says, as was written in the 23rd book of Psalms, yes, though you go through the valley and the shadow of death, don't fear evil. Don't fear that the valley is your destination. Why? Because Jesus says in the 23rd book of Psalms, which I love, he says, because I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as you know that whatever you go through in life, our son likes to say the ebbs and flows of life, some high seasons, some hard seasons, some tough seasons, know that you are not alone. Secondly, James says, count it all joy when you go through divers temptation, many temptation, knowing that the trying of your faith worketh patience, and let patience have a perfect work, that you may be full and entire, wanting nothing. Listen, I'm not going to get to preaching this morning. You know I can, and it doesn't take much. All you have to say Jesus, or you even have to say Jesus, because when I consider him and the fact that he woke me up this morning, I'm grateful for that. I'm not going to take too much time. I talked to you about 3 or 4 minutes with a longer monologue, but today is going to be an abbreviated program today because my guest, Dwight Owens, he's going to be the luncheon speaker for Unite Mississippi from 12 to 1 today at the Mississippi Agricultural Museum, the Sparkman Building. Well, I can see right now that some of you are streaming live from Atlanta, Georgia, so it's probably going to be tough for you to drive from Atlanta, Georgia to get to Jackson, Mississippi by 12 o'clock. However, you can stream the luncheon live going to unite-mississippi.com. That's unite-mississippi.com. And you'll be able to hear the full testimony, the full story of my guest today, Dwight Owens, on Defining Moments. He will also be our luncheon guest for Unite Mississippi 12 to 1 today. Again, Aunt Dean, I just can't overlook you, Aunt Dean. I've got to say hi. I can't overlook you, Sister Winsley. I have to say hi, you and Brother Winsley. I talked to our pastor the other day. And a couple of members of the church, they were having issues getting on the podcast. And Pastor James said to a couple of them, now, if brother and sister Winsley can get on the podcast and dial, there's no excuse for anybody else having problems getting on the podcast. So we love you so much and thank God for you. Dwight Owens, in 2005, at the age of 23, Dwight was in a horrible car accident. After only 2 years of teaching, a 72-year-old drunk driver crashed into Dwight's vehicle and his life was changed forever. Dwight stayed in the hospital almost a year through life support. My goodness, ICU and rehab, fighting for his life. I am a miracle. That's what he says. Dwight had broken bones, punctured lungs, a broken back, brain trauma, and severed spinal cord, and a lifetime of paralysis ahead of him. He is permanently paralyzed from the waist down. In fact, Dwight coded immediately after the accident, and the doctors gave him no chance, absolutely no chance to survive. But survive he did, and what could have become a life of depression, self-pity, and bitterness has instead transformed into one of uplifting courage, self-reliance, and forgiveness. After surviving life support and an entire year in the hospital, Dwight found the courage to turn tragedy into triumph, and he has become a motivational speaker sought after nationally. After a 2-year interval filled with countless surgeries, medical setbacks, and a grueling rehabilitation regimen, Dwight was restored to sound health and looking to make a contribution to the world. He was approached by several churches, school groups, communities, and rehab organizations and asked to tell his story, as is Unite Mississippi today at the luncheon from 12 to 1. If you can't be there, log on to unite-mississippi.com and you'll be able to hear his entire story. Dwight Owens, I am delighted to have you as a guest on Defining Moments, man.
It's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to it.
Well, you know what? And then Dwight also is author of book Still Standing. Still Standing. So, listen, we only have about 27 minutes because we've got to get to the Ag Museum for people to see you and shake hands and greet you, so and so on, at 12 o'clock. But I'm not going to interrupt. Tell people your story. And I want to talk about the book Still Standing. After I say this, you and I talked about it before we went on the air. Jesus went to the man and saw the man at the pool at Bethesda. He had been there. Some people pronounce it Bethesda, but he had been there for 38 years. Jesus looked at the man and said, considered that he was paralyzed. Jesus saw that the man had been paralyzed for at least 38 years. And Jesus says, do you want to be made whole? And the man started telling Jesus about, well, once a year the angel comes and trouble the water, and people jump in front of me, and I can't get in. Jesus said, do you want to make whole? And he told the man to get up. So I believe that Jesus necessarily wasn't asking him, do you want to walk? I believe that too, literally, but I think Jesus was trying to send a spiritual message.
Yes.
Do you want to get up? Do you want to get up spiritually? Do you want to get up emotionally? Do you want to break out of this mentality that where you are, you're going to be for the rest of your life? And so when I consider your story, I'm saying, my goodness, it would have been easy for Dwight to say, I'm going to stay where I am mentally, spiritually, physically. But you made a concerted effort to get up and to allow your tragedy to become your story.
Oh, most definitely.
Will you share that?
And you know, just sitting down, just staying there, what's the purpose in that? I think sometimes, you know, God can take your deepest pain and turn it into your greatest calling. And when you lose something, don't think of it as a loss. Think of it as a gift that gets you on the path you were meant to travel on. I grew up in humbling beginnings. In 1994, when I was in the 6th grade, I remember getting a phone call from my grandmother. My grandmother called to tell my siblings and I that my dad had been hit by a car, not think that it was anything serious. We got on the school bus as usual in Hot Coffee, Mississippi. I know you probably hadn't heard of Hot Coffee.
I know exactly where Hot Coffee is. It's right beside Cold Drink. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I got you. But that day, my grandmother told us that he was going to be okay. So get on the school bus as usual. So we did that because we didn't miss school back in those days. So we got on the school bus as usual, and we passed the center of hot coffee, and as we passed the center of hot coffee, my mom was on the outside of McDonald Country Store, the only store in hot coffee. And she came out, and I saw this crowd of people, and my mom was trying to stop the school bus, and she successfully did so. As she stopped the school bus, my siblings and I got off the school bus, and we realized something, that my dad hadn't been hit by a car, as my grandmother said. Someone put a weapon to his head, pulled a trigger, and threw him out on the highway.
Oh, my goodness.
As a sixth grader, I had to see that. As a sixth grader, I just witnessed my dad after he was murdered. As a sixth grader, I had to witness my mom have a nervous breakdown. As a sixth grader, I had to witness my sister have a nervous breakdown. But all of that taught me something, and I knew that if I could overcome that, I could overcome anything else life threw at me. And boy, does life have its tests. And so I understood the power of a choice after that. I could go through life being bitter, unforgiveness, all those things that's only going to take away from my life. That's a choice that I could have made. I could make the choice to go through life hating everybody, and that's what a lot of people choose to do. But I could also make the choice to be the man that my dad wanted me to be a beacon of hope, and to make my life count for something, and that's what I chose to do.
So, Dwight, how do you encourage people, even those that are streaming that will come back, or even listening, because we have a lot of truck drivers. And sometimes truck driving, I've learned for some truck drivers, they've said it gives me an opportunity just to get away from it all, to get on the road. What would you tell those people that are in the valley? They've had hard things to happen to them in life, and you can't dismiss the hard things. The hard things are hard. But what do you tell people that have determined that their hard season is going to be their destination, and they're just going to medicate themselves through alcohol abuse, substance abuse, drug abuse, sticking, snorting, whatever, just to escape from it, because there's nothing good that can happen out of this?
Well, life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful, for one thing. We all have challenges to face, and I believe that God gives us resources to help overcome those challenges. All I know is that you have to learn to face things head on, put them in the best possible light, and help others every chance you get. And that's what I believe in. And now, and after, that happened to my dad, I decided I wanted to do something to make him proud. So I was so determined that I can't even explain it. So I went to Collins High School, graduated at the top of my class because I wanted it. Also excel in athletics. But when an injury stopped me from being the football player I wanted to be, I was able to fall back on my academics. Went to the University of Southern Mississippi. To make a long story short, graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi and started teaching at Laurel High School. Taught there for a year. Then my dream job opened up being a football coach and a math teacher at my alma mater in Collins. So excited to learn some of the same coaches and teachers that encouraged me when I was in high school. School's going to start on August 8, 2005. That was a Monday. August 5th, 2005, that Friday, as I prepared to go get my classroom ready for the students to come in that Monday, I was railroaded by a drunk driver clocked at 120 miles an hour.
Oh, goodness.
They found my torso on the floor of the car, my legs wrapped around the steering wheel. Again, all because of a choice that somebody made that they didn't have to make, but they made it. Coded in the accident. They brought me back. I coded again at the hospital.
Now, for those that don't understand the clinical or medical terminology, and I know you do because I have a sharp audience that don't understand terminology coding, what does that mean?
It means my heart stopped. It means I was out of here. I was gone. And when that happened, it took me to a place of peace so bright that I can't even explain it. And all of a sudden, my dad appeared before me.
Oh, my goodness.
And along with other family members that passed before him. And my dad said, "Son, everything's going to be okay." And after he said that, he walked away toward an opening in this lit place, and he disappeared. Not knowing what to do, I decided to follow him. But before I got there, I woke in the hospital with a doctor holding a light above me, and I overheard him say, "We got him back." So I smiled, understanding that despite the circumstances, despite the pain, my life still has purpose. And that purpose is the reason why I continue to push forward.
Because there are those, Dwight, that would ask the question, why? Two things can happen. Many more, but at least two things can happen. You can say, why? And say, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? Or why me? And get mad with God and the world and everybody else and live an angry life the rest of your life.
Why not me? 2 Timothy 3:12 says, all that live a godly life will suffer persecution. So I understood that, things are going to happen. But why not me? Why not me? this guy from the small community of hot coffee, because this has happened to me, I found my purpose after the accident. Because this has happened to me, this guy from the small community of hot coffee is on the same stage as Al Roker, on the same stage as Ruby D, on the same stage as the Bush family, all to award me for me and my efforts. Invited to the home of Mayor Bloomberg, getting a thank you on video for Mrs. Obama. Glory. You see, when there's a girl reaching out to me that doesn't want to live anymore, and God gives me answer to give that teen new hope, that's my purpose. Why not me? Things happen to bad people all the time. As I said before, 2 Timothy 3:12, all that live a godly life will suffer persecution. And for me, I just love to attack each day with positivity. So I'm afraid of an idle mind, as I was trying to saying before. So I keep busy, not only as a motivational speaker and a disability advocate and so many other things, and I love doing those things. I'm even a real estate agent. I just try to stay busy in so many things. And because when the devil wants to get to me, it's bedtime, because I've been active that whole day.
When the devil tries to get to you, it's bedtime. So Dwight, let me ask you this. So I want you to look at those people. I want you to look into that camera, and I want you to encourage people that, because there are those that feel like giving up right now. They may not be suffering from a physical paralysis, but something has happened in their life. Something is going on, and they just feel like giving up. What's the use? Or I just might as well just eat, drink, and be merry, and not worry about God, not worry about going to church, just kind of make it through life. How would you encourage them based upon what God has done and is doing and is going to do in your life?
I'm going to say this again. You know, sometimes God can take your deepest pain and turn it into your greatest calling. You know, sometimes you lose what you want to find what you deserve. And you deserve peace. You deserve happiness. You deserve joy. You know, God has a plan for all of us, and we all have challenges to face. He also gives us the strength and resources to help overcome those challenges, and I believe that. So go out there and take what's yours, because you deserve to live a life that you're excited about. And I'm going to say this again. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful.
Wow. All right. Then lightning round question session. Number 2, what do you tell people? Because I am very careful to not hang around negative people.
Yes.
Because I've always been taught and I've learned that if you're around people, one or two things will happen. You will influence them or they will influence you. If you're not strong enough to influence them in a positive way, they're negative, their negativity will influence you. So you, ladies and gentlemen, you need to make sure that you are careful with the company that you keep, because if you're not careful, if they have a stronger personality, stronger persona than you, then their bad habits, their negativity will begin to creep into your life. My question to you is, what do you do with people? And I may have answered the question, but I want your perspective. What do you say to people that hang around negative people? Because there may be people who have said, Dwight, poor thing, poor Dwight. Oh, Dwight, bless you. We don't expect too much out of you, Dwight. Just God bless you, Dwight.
Yes. You know, a negative mind never gives anybody a positive life. But when you replace those negative thoughts with positive ones, you start having positive results. And so I'm similar to you. I don't deal with any of the negative stuff. I try to get away from anything that pulls me down, because I love to approach each day with joy. One of the things that I enjoy doing every day, people that know me know that I'm passionate about mental health. Whether it's mental health, whether it's in the disability community, whether it's people that are at risk for drug and alcohol abuse, even people in the church, because mental health is not talked about in the church as much as it needs to. So, and people need to understand, you know, how to learn to bounce back from adversity. So yes, negativity is one of those things that I stay far away from.
So, what would you say to those people that would say, now this is kind of a curveball question, what would you say to those people that say, man, you just hiding behind your faith? If God really loved you, then the accident wouldn't have happened, or you wouldn't be paralyzed. What would you say?
You know, sometimes, you know, things happen, and sometimes they're the only way that God can get you on your knees to pray. So you can't grow. It's hard to grow in positive situations. I used the wrong word. It's hard to grow when things are always good. You have to have something. Something to happen in order for you to grow, for you to be stronger, for you to be wiser, for you to be better. And those things that happened to me, if it wasn't for those things happening to me, one, I wouldn't have found my purpose.
That's right.
I have a beautiful wife that I met my wife when I was in the wheelchair, and I was just happy to roll up to her, and she became my wife. So, it's all part of it. I don't know. I'm different from a lot of people in the way that I think, but I can just imagine God putting the pieces of the puzzle together. You just have to trust it.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you are around Dwight for 4.2 seconds, being facetious, that passion for life, that energy is going to jump off of him and is going to jump onto you. I can see right now that if he walks into a room and negative people start, circling him, and you start talking about negativity, I sense that Dwight is going to hold up his little church finger like we used to do in the Missionary Baptist Church, and he's going to exit stage left or stage right, because negativity only drains you.
It drains you.
Looking at if there's water half in the jug or jar glass, then you need to choose to look at it half full as opposed to being half empty. And so you keep referring to your faith. How important is your faith, and how important has it been for your faith and your relationship with God to walk with you throughout life?
I don't think it's possible without it. I mean, it's because of that faith that I have, the determination that I have. I have to believe, and it's hard for people to understand the joy that I have. Joy is different from being happy. I give you a piece of candy to make you happy, but it doesn't give you joy.
Yes, that's right.
And that's something that
I'm
nobody.
so glad you said that.
And it's something that nobody should be able to take away from you. And that faith and the purpose that it's given me with that faith, it gives me a sense of peace that I can't explain to people. It gives me that. And because I have that peace, I'm motivated to just attack each day like it's the last.
That's interesting, because you separated and you defined the two words happiness and peace. If I give you a piece of candy, you say, boy, I'm happy, and that's going to be okay. Happiness is situational.
It's situational.
If I give you a piece of candy, you're going to be happy, but once the candy is gone, will you be depressed again? So our goal in life should not be to be happy. Our goal is to have peace. Jesus didn't come to make us happy. He came to offer us peace, the peace that surpasseth all understanding. Now, you were in a life-altering, life-threatening accident, but I can see the peace oozing off of your persona, man.
It's joy. I tell people all the time, we all die. So I'm not afraid of that. The goal isn't to live forever, but to create something that will.
Stop. That's a T-shirt moment. Repeat that again.
We all die. The goal isn't to live forever, but to create something that will. And what can live forever? And why I'm extremely happy about the Unite Mississippi vision is that you're creating something that can live forever, whether it's laying a seed of faith and those things. So, and that's why I wrote the book, because after I'm gone, it's still going to be here.
Here's the book, ladies and gentlemen. Now, how can people get a copy of this book?
On my website.
Okay.
They could on Amazon or on my website is probably the easiest way, but you can also go directly to Amazon.
And your website, my producers put it on the screen, but your website is what? What's the address?
It's www.stillstandingwithdwight.com. www.stillstandingwithdwight.com.
So when they get a copy of this book, and no spoiler alerts, all right, what should they expect?
They expect to learn how God turns pain into purpose.
And this is not something you just read. This is something you've experienced for your own life.
Most definitely.
And you still have joy.
Still have joy.
Boy, when you said our goal is not to live forever, now that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life, Dwight. Our goal is not to live forever, if that is your goal. But you know what? That's a manipulation of an industry, and it has become a multi-billion-dollar, nearly $1 trillion industry. Cosmetics and you see commercials. Inject yourself with this, take this pill, buy these clothes, you'll live longer, you'll slow down this, that ought not to be the goal, should it?
No, not at all. Not at all. You have to find a way to find peace in each day. And that's what I strive for. That's what I strive for.
You have to find a way to find peace, and the ultimate peace is not found in people, places, and things.
Not at all.
I've learned that. The ultimate peace is only found in Christ Jesus.
Yes.
Period. End stop. And so today, once again, Dwight Owens is going to be luncheon speaker for Unite Mississippi from 12 to 1 at the Mississippi Agricultural Building, at the Mississippi Agricultural Center at the Sparkman Building from 12 to 1. And you're invited. You can be my guest. Don't worry about admission. You're my guest, and we'll take care of that. If you're in the Jackson metropolitan area, there's still time. If not, you can log on to Unite-Mississippi, unite-mississippi.com, and of course, you'll have time for him to share his entire story. What would you want people to learn about your life and about what you've gone through? If you had the mic and camera and the whole world was looking at Dwight Owens right now, and you travel around the world and you share your testimony as a motivational speaker, as a life coach, what is the one thing you really hope that people got?
They'll see why I'm still standing. And I'm still standing because, my mindset. Still standing is a mindset. It's the belief that you can rise above anything. You can prevail no matter what life throws at you. And that's because of God's grace and mercy.
Still standing is a mindset. And you just hit it. And I've made it probably a little complicated, probably not. When Jesus went to the man who had been paralyzed and at the pool for 38 years, Jesus is why are you still here? He wasn't speaking to the physicality of the man, I don't believe. I think he was speaking to the mindset of people. So in the last 30 seconds that we have, how would you encourage people to get up from the pallet and put the pallet on them, spiritually speaking?
Well, you know who you are, and I'm going to say it again. Jesus loves you. You deserve peace. You deserve joy. You deserve to be all that you were created to be. And I'm going to say it again because I love this saying when I say life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Because life never goes in a straight line to get where you need to be. There's always going to be some obstacles in the road. There's always going to be some obstacles in the road. But you learn with those obstacles. So there's always going to be. So in order for you to get where you need to be, you're going to have to learn to overcome those obstacles. And that starts with Christ.
And what I have learned, thank you so much, William, for joining us. What I have learned, Dwight, is that in spite of it all, in spite of the hardness, the hills, the valleys, the rough edges of life, what gives me comfort is that I am not alone.
Never.
Dwight Owens, ladies and gentlemen, is my guest, and he is my friend. Join us at 12 o'clock today at Unite Mississippi, unite-mississippi.com on our website. The book, Still Standing, get it everywhere. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you Tuesday again on Defining Moments. Be good to yourself.
Hey, my name is Kyle Reno, Senior Pastor at Cross Gates Baptist Church. Here's a defining moment from this last Sunday.
I can give my heart